Hi, I'm Olivia Dean and you're watching Learning at Home TV, which is a regular educational program that's being broadcast right here on 7/2 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday to help make learning at home stress-free for primary school students. You'll see that lessons are divided into 3 age brackets: early years, middle primary and upper primary, and that they're conducted by some wonderful teachers from across Queensland schools. So it's time to get the kids ready to find out more about English, maths and science, and they'll hear some important health and wellbeing messages. Coming up, a chance to explore different characters in English. We will be thinking about sharing and how it relates to dividing in maths. And in science, we'll explore how we can make things move in different directions through pushes or pulls. Good morning to all the kids out there. We're going to have some fun today, so get your thinking caps on and let's get ready to learn. All right, guys, before we start our lessons, we're going to do a warm-up to get our bodies ready. And for part of this next activity, you can actually be sitting down.
Hi, I'm Harris Andrews from the Brisbane Lions, and just like you, I'm stuck at home. Keeping active is really important for my health and well-being. Let's get active now. Today, I'm going to teach you guys a kayaking movement. So watch me, and after I try it, you guys can try it. It's really important when you're doing kayaking to have a really strong core. And the first exercise that I'm going to introduce is the plank. So important to make sure that you set up like this, you have it straight back, your knees are off the ground, and you can just hold this for as long as you can. The second movement of that is trunk rotation, which is obviously very important when kayaking. So having your feet on the ground, really focusing on just your trunk movement, staying strong in your back. It's all really important. And the last movement to the kayaking activity is trunk movement with a rotation. So say if you've got a broom at home, or if you're lucky enough to have a kayak paddle, getting your feet off the ground and really emphasising the movement of your trunk. So from side to side, really engaging your core. It's really important. Just want to say a big thank you for listening and have a great day.
Oh, that was a good workout and great for the core. But are we all settling down now and ready to learn? I think fairy tales are fabulous. They have adventure, there's good winning out over evil, and there's always a happy ending. But today, we're going to read a fairy tale with a little twist. It's called a fractured fairy tale. This means that different parts of the story, such as the characters, the main events of the story, or the setting, have been changed. Today, Sarah and Laura are going to introduce us to a very different representation of the fairy tale character Cinderella.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. Today we're going to look at a different story about Cinderella. This type of story is known as a fractured fairy tale. You will see that some of the characters and some of the events that happen in the story are the same, but changes have been made to the story to present a different retelling of this traditional fairy tale. The story we are about to read is called Cinder's Rocks, the Rockstar Gang. Remember, these characters are not quite what you would expect. Let's read the story. This is an upside-down, roundabout story based on the fairy tale Cinderella. The tables have turned, and Cinderella is no longer hidden away in tattered clothes, scrubbing the floor. She is Cinders, the rock and roll legend, and is busting the stereotype in more ways than one. Have fun and rock on. Cinders played the drums in a cool rock band. She was very well known in fairy tale land. Cinders grooved to the music and Cinders sang. She was the legendary leader of the Rockstar Gang. She had 2 divine stepsisters, Paris and Portia, and a friend, Prince Dwayne Pipe, Esquire, who was a little coarser. Sour old Cinders wouldn't let her sisters sing because she herself wanted to win the prince's glittering ring, bling bling. She made them scrub the filthy kitchen floor. It was a terrible, horrible, ghastly chore. Meanwhile, the city was planning a big day out where everyone could sing and dance and jump and shout. Cinders knew this gig would make her an amazing star. It was her best chance to win Prince Dwayne's heart by far, not to mention his beautiful car. Paris and Portia didn't know what to do. They wished and they wished that they could go too. All of a sudden, a fairy godfather appeared, waving his wand and scratching his beard. Paris laughed loudly with a huge glossy smile. Portia declared, "We've been waiting a while." Their wish was granted and they raced to the party. The clothes they were wearing were tasteful and arty. They grooved to the sound of Cinder's band and danced with the most handsome gentleman in the land. At midnight, they wept and fled home to scrub. In the rush and the scuffle, their boots stuck in the mud. The prince and his duke were angry at seeing them flee. They vowed to search for their bells, to the end if need be. In the pale light of dawn, the sisters were back to their cleaning, when a knock at the door disrupted their dreaming. The prince and his duke were searching to find the groovers who danced and simply outshined. Paris and Portia gasped and swirled in delight. Their mean, nasty sister would get an enormous fright. The gumboots they offered were a perfect fit. It was a match made in heaven, or the mosh pit. Cinders looked on with a big, angry frown. She worried about what would be said in the gossiping town. She declared it was all an incredible fluke, that the sisters had tricked the poor prince and the duke. Paris and Portia laughed lightly, their faces aglow, as they threw down their aprons with quite a show. Fine weddings were planned for the duke and the prince. Poor Cinders hasn't been seen at all since, and they all, most of them, lived happily ever after, all except Cinders, who couldn't stand the laughter. The end. Wow, that was a very interesting version of the fairy tale Cinderella. It was not what I'm used to hearing when I listen to the story. I've dressed up as Cinderella and, here's Cinders Rocks now. Hi, Cinders.
Hi, Cinderella.
Both the stories had Cinderella as the main character. In the traditional fairy tale, Cinderella was kind.
However, in Cinders Rocks, she was mean.
When we compare the characters Cinderella and Cinders Rocks, we notice that in some things they have alternative or different character qualities. For example, Cinderella is described as good, kind and beautiful. I know she is kind because she does all the work for her stepmother and stepsisters and does not complain.
In Cinders Rocks, Cinders is mean. She makes her stepsisters do all the hard work, and she doesn't let them sing in her rock and roll band.
We can say that Cinders Rocks is an alternative character to Cinderella. The words kind and mean have meanings that are completely different or opposite. When we are looking at alternative characters, we can use a special word to describe opposite characteristics. These words are called antonyms. Cinderella was kind, Cinders Rocks was mean. The words kind and mean are antonyms because they have opposite meanings. Antonyms can create a different representation of a character. Let's think of some other words that describe Cinderella and antonyms of those words that describe Cinders Rocks. Cinders, you can help me.
Do I have to?
Yes, you do.
Oh, okay.
Cinderella is kind.
Cinders Rocks is mean.
Cinderella is friendly.
Cinders Rocks is unfriendly.
Cinderella is generous.
Cinders Rocks is selfish.
And Cinderella is quiet.
And Cinders Rocks is loud.
We can see that Cinders Rocks is a very different or alternative representation of the character of Cinderella. I think the author is challenging the idea of a princess from the traditional fairy tale. Today, we thought about how the author of Cinders Rocks created an alternative character for Cinderella. We looked at antonyms, words that have opposite meanings, to describe how Cinderella and Cinders Rocks are different. Now it is your turn. Think about the two characters we have looked at today. Think of antonyms that could be used to describe another character in both stories. Have fun, everyone. Bye for now.
Rock on!
Hello again, everyone. We're so glad you could join us for Learning at Home TV. In mathematics today, we will be thinking about sharing and how it relates to dividing. Monique will be working with you to see where sharing happens in our everyday life and how we can share into equal groups. Shall we begin?
Hi everyone, my name is Monique. I'm really happy you could be here with me today. Let's start our thinking about sharing by thinking about times when we need to share. We share when we give out materials to our group in a class activity. We share when we give our friend a piece of our birthday cake. We share when we set the dinner table and have to make sure everyone gets a knife and a fork each. It is important when we are sharing to make each group equal or fair. When we share, we say we are sharing between a group or sharing among our friends or even dividing up. Let's look at some sharing now in this video. Yum, patty cakes. I could see some sharing of the patty cakes. I could see that the patty cakes were shared one by one until there were no patty cakes left. I could also see that each plate had the same number of patty cakes. There was an equal share of patty cakes. Let's try some sharing together now. This time we are going to use some images to represent what we are sharing. I have some images of some yummy biscuits. Let's count how many biscuits we have all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 biscuits. We are going to share these biscuits between myself and some friends. My friends and I each have a plate. I have a plate, Tom has a plate, Jack has a plate, and Amanda has a plate. 4 plates altogether. We want to share the biscuits so that each friend has an equal share. We are sharing among our friends. Let's go. 1 biscuit to Monique, 1 biscuit to Tom, 1 biscuit to Jack, and 1 biscuit to Amanda. Each friend has 1, but there are still more to share. Another biscuit to Monique, another biscuit to Tom, another biscuit to Jack, and another biscuit to Amanda. There are no more biscuits left to share. Let's check each friend has an equal share. 2 biscuits on Monique's plate, 2 biscuits on Tom's plate, 2 biscuits on Jack's plate, and 2 biscuits on Amanda's plate. Yep, we have shared the 8 biscuits between 4 friends with 2 biscuits on each friend's plate. We can use sharing to solve problems. To practice using our sharing to solve a problem, we are going to read a problem about a farmer and his sheep. But this time, we're going to use one of our other words that represent sharing, divide. Let's see if we can use our knowledge of dividing to help. You read the problem with me. A farmer had 12 sheep. The sheep farm had 4 fenced paddocks. The farmer had a problem. The farmer had to divide equally the sheep between the paddocks. How many sheep will be in each paddock? We are going to use some materials to represent the problem. I have 12 cutouts of sheep and 4 green paddocks to represent our problem. Let's use our knowledge of dividing to solve the farmer's problem. We will move 1 sheep at a time into each paddock until there are no sheep left. Let's go. 1 sheep into paddock 1. 1 sheep into paddock 2. 1 sheep into paddock 3. And 1 sheep into paddock 4. Each paddock has 1 sheep, but there are still more sheep left over, so we need to keep dividing. Another sheep into paddock 1, another sheep into paddock 2, another sheep into paddock 3, and another sheep into paddock 4. Each paddock has 2 sheep, but there are still more sheep left over, so we have to keep dividing. Another sheep into paddock 1, another sheep into paddock 2, another sheep into paddock 3, and another sheep into paddock 4. There are no more sheep left to divide between the paddocks. Let's see how many sheep there are in each paddock. Paddock 1 has 3 sheep. Paddock 2 has 3 sheep. Paddock 3 has 3 sheep. And paddock 4 has 3 sheep. There are 3 sheep in each paddock. Each paddock has the same amount of sheep, so we have solved the farmer's problem and divided the 12 sheep equally between the 4 paddocks. Wow, we have learned so many things about sharing. We have learned that there are many everyday situations that involve sharing, such as when we are sharing patty cakes or biscuits between our friends. We have learned that when we share, we might use words such as each, equal, fair, between, among, and dividing. We have also learned that we can represent problems with materials and to help us solve problems about sharing. Thanks so much for joining me today. You might like to make some cutouts yourself of some biscuits or patty cakes and practice sharing them equally, or even make your own sharing problems to solve. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Monique. It's a very useful skill to know how to be a good sharer. And now it's time to learn some more skills for reading.
Hello. How's your reading at home going? In this Let's Read session, I am going to give you some tips that might help with your reading. Today, I am looking at multisyllabic words. As you get older, you start to read longer words or multisyllabic words. Do you know what multisyllabic words are? Well, multisyllabic words are words that have more than one syllable. A syllable is a unit of sound within a word. A syllable always has a vowel sound. When you read, you might come across words like 30 with 2 syllables, 30, or hospital with 3 syllables, hospital, or a 4-syllable word like conversation, conversation. How do we read all those multisyllabic words? Knowing how to break these words into syllables helps us read each part. So, in a word like conversation, we can pull it apart and read each part. Conversation. conversation. Then we put the syllables back together to read the whole word, conversation. Let's keep reading and look out for those multisyllabic words.
Welcome back, guys. When we're playing soccer, basketball and tennis, we can move the ball in different ways to score points. Today in Science, we're going to explore how we can move things in different directions through pushes and pulls, and how we can show this movement scientifically. Here's David to explain more.
Hi. There's a possum who lives in my workshop, and she loves pushing things off the top shelves. They fall down and hit the floor with a bang in the night. So this possum has a ball, and she's going to drop it on this house. Which direction will the push go? I've done a scientific drawing to show what happened. And here's a picture of the ball hitting the house. In science, we show the direction of the push with an arrow, like this one pointing down. Now, possum really likes knocking things down. There's this wall. Possum has this ball on a string. It's a bit like the wrecking ball they used to use to smash down old buildings. How would you do a scientific drawing to show this push? Here's my drawing. Let's see where the arrow should go. I think it's going sideways. Okay, we've looked at two different types of push. Now let's have a look at how a pull can be in different directions. Poor old bear here has fallen in the pond. Which direction is possum going to have to pull to get him out? Let's have a look at a drawing of that. Here's a scientific drawing, and I'm going to put the arrow there to show which way the pull went. Okay, now poor old Ted's having a bad day. He's fallen down in a big hole. Possum's nearby. Possum can get up a tree maybe. Which way is Possum going to have to pull Ted to get him out of the hole? Can you point to show the direction? Let's have a look at a drawing. So I think it looks something like that. And I think I'll put the arrow facing up because the pull went up. Okay, so let's look back on what we've learnt today. Now we know that pushes and pulls can be in different directions. We can draw arrows to show the direction of the pushes and pulls. Is there a game that you play that has pushes and pulls? Maybe one where you kick or throw or catch a ball. You could make a scientific drawing to show yourself in action. Draw an arrow to show the direction of the push or pull. Have fun. I'll see you next time.
Well, I think we've all earned a brain break. And then I'm going to hand over to Luke, who's joining the middle primary students. Have fun, and I'll see you all again soon.
Hi, I'm Sam and I play AFL for the Gold Coast Suns women's team. Keeping active is really important for my health and well-being. Let's get active now. Let's start by stepping forward and stepping back. Okay, let's change feet. Great. Okay, we're going to try handballing now. Make a pancake with one hand and a fist like you're holding an ice cream with the other. And swing through like this. Try the other hand. Fist, pancake. Swing through. Great. Now let's try adding them together. Step forward, swing. Step forward, change hands. Well done. Now we've learned a new skill. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.